Welcome to Decoded Daily. This episode is brought to you by Idea Data. Idea Data helps professionals in AI tech and business stay ahead of the curve. If you want more insights like the ones you're about to hear, check out Idea Data's newsletter. The link is in the show notes. All right, buckle up, because today we're taking a deep dive into the future. We've got a stack of articles here about emerging tech trends, and we're going to break them down, figure out what's really important. We're talking about AI making its way into government, the crazy world of deepfakes, farms getting a serious tech upgrade, even something called a green gold rush. You ready to dive in? One of the things that really jumped out at me was this article about how state governments are starting to use generative AI. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, because when governments adopt a technology, it can really have a ripple effect.
It's interesting, isn't it? What's really fascinating about generative AI is that it's not just about analyzing data, it can actually create new content. Think about all the paperwork and reports involved in government. Imagine using AI to automate some of those tasks. The article mentions how some states are exploring this, with the potential to save time and resources.
That makes sense. But I'm also wondering about the potential downsides. Are there risks we need to be aware of when we start giving AI more responsibility in government?
Absolutely. One of the key concerns raised in the article is the potential for bias. If the data used to train these AI systems is biased, the outputs could be discriminatory. And then there's the question of transparency. How can we ensure that these systems are making decisions fairly and that we understand how they're reaching those decisions?
Those are some really important questions. It seems like there's a lot of potential here. But we need to be cautious about how we implement this technology. Speaking of potential pitfalls, this report from Morningstar about AI trends for 2025 really caught my eye, especially the section on deepfakes. Have you ever stopped to think about how realistic these things are becoming? It's kind of mind-blowing.
It really is. We're talking about technology that can create videos of people saying and doing things they never actually did. And as these deepfakes become more sophisticated, it's raising serious questions about how we can distinguish between real and fake content.
Right. And the report highlights how this is leading to a push for regulations.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine someone creating a deepfake video of you saying something outrageous. It could damage your reputation, relationships. The implications are pretty scary.
Absolutely. The report predicts that we'll see a wave of new regulations aimed at curbing deepfake misuse. We're already seeing some early efforts to develop tools for detecting deepfakes, but it's a constant cat-and-mouse game. As the technology evolves, so too will the methods for creating and detecting these fakes.
If we can't always trust what we see and hear, what does that mean for our society? It feels like we're entering a whole new era of information warfare. Let's move on to something a little less unsettling. This article from AgWeb about smart farming caught my attention. It talks about how technology like AI is being used to make farms more efficient and sustainable. What are your initial thoughts on this?
What's exciting here is that we're seeing data analysis and artificial intelligence being applied to agriculture in really innovative ways. Farmers can use sensors and AI to monitor soil conditions, crop health, and even weather patterns in real time. This kind of precision farming allows them to make data-driven decisions about when to plant and fertilize, maximizing yields while minimizing waste.
How does this tie into the bigger picture of food security and climate change?
With a growing global population and the increasing pressures of climate change, we need to find ways to produce more food with fewer resources. Smart farming has the potential to play a major role in addressing these challenges. By optimizing resource use and improving crop yields, it can contribute to a more sustainable and resilient food system.
So it's not just about feeding the world, it's about feeding it in a way that doesn't destroy the planet in the process. That's a pretty compelling argument for smart farming, wouldn't you say? Now, zooming out to a more global perspective, this Harvard Business Review article really caught my attention. It's all about the geopolitics of tech. And it argues that breakthroughs in fields like AI are reshaping global power dynamics. What are your thoughts on this?
It's a fascinating topic. What the article highlights is that technology is no longer just a tool for businesses. It's a major factor in international relations. Countries are now competing for dominance in areas like AI and quantum computing, recognizing that these technologies have the potential to shift the balance of power.
It's like a new kind of arms race. But instead of nuclear weapons, we're talking about algorithms and data. That's pretty intense. Can you give us some specific examples of how this is playing out?
Sure. The article mentions how China is investing heavily in AI research and development. With the goal of becoming a global leader in this field, this has raised concerns in the US and other Western countries, leading to increased investment in their own AI initiatives. We're also seeing competition for talent as countries try to attract the best and brightest minds in these fields.
It sounds like navigating this new landscape is going to be incredibly complex. What advice does the article offer for businesses trying to operate in this environment?
The key takeaway is that businesses can no longer afford to ignore the geopolitical implications of the technologies they're developing or using. They need to be aware of the potential risks and opportunities, and they need to be strategic in their approach to global markets.
It seems like staying ahead of the curve in tech is no longer just about innovation. It's also about understanding the global political chessboard.
Okay, ready for some good news? Let's talk about this green gold rush everyone's buzzing about. We found this article that basically says venture capital is pouring into clean energy like never before.
There's several factors at play here. First, there's a growing awareness of the urgency of climate change and the need to transition away from fossil fuels. Second, we're seeing incredible advances in renewable energy technologies, making them more efficient and cost-effective than ever before. And finally, many governments are offering incentives and subsidies to encourage investment in clean energy. It's like a perfect storm of opportunity, driven by both necessity and technological advancements. But isn't there a risk of this becoming another tech bubble? How can we distinguish between genuine opportunities and potential hype?
That's a great question. It's important to be cautious and to do your due diligence before investing in any new technology. Look for companies with solid business plans, proven technologies, and a track record of success. And remember, diversification is key. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
That's a good reminder for any investor, regardless of the industry. All right, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. Let's take a moment to recap some of the key takeaways before we move on to the next article so far. We've learned about the potential and the perils of AI in government, the rising threat of deepfakes and the push for regulation, the promise of smart farming for a more sustainable food system, and the increasingly complex geopolitics of tech. And we've even touched on the exciting possibilities of a green gold rush in clean energy. It's a lot to process, but I think it gives us a pretty good snapshot of the forces shaping our future.
You've summarized it perfectly. It's a dynamic and rapidly evolving landscape, with both exciting possibilities and potential pitfalls. But what's clear is that technology is playing an increasingly central role in every aspect of our lives, from the way we govern ourselves to the way we feed ourselves.
Absolutely. It's more important than ever to stay informed, to think critically, and to engage in thoughtful conversations about the future we want to create. But before we get too philosophical, let's jump into our next article.
This article from TechCrunch into how AI is being utilized to streamline processes, effectively eliminating the need for breaks in specific tasks.
Skip breaks. That sounds almost counterintuitive. Don't we all need breaks to stay productive and avoid burnout?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But the article presents an interesting argument. It suggests that in certain highly automated tasks, particularly those involving AI, traditional breaks can actually disrupt the flow and reduce efficiency.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but also a bit skeptical. Can you give me a concrete example of what a skip break might look like?
Imagine a financial trading system powered by AI. The algorithm is constantly analyzing market data and executing trades at lightning speed. Introducing a break in this process, even a brief one, could potentially result in missed opportunities or even losses.
So in that context, I can see how a skip break might make sense. But what about the human element? Aren't we sacrificing something important when we eliminate breaks entirely?
That's a valid concern, and the article acknowledges the ethical implications of this trend. It emphasizes that skip breaks should only be implemented in very specific situations where human oversight is minimal and the tasks are highly automated. And it stresses the importance of carefully considering the potential impact on worker well-being.
It definitely raises some interesting questions about the future of work. Are we heading towards a world where humans are constantly tethered to machines, working without pause? I'm not sure I'm ready for that.
I don't think any of us are, but it's important to have these conversations now.
Okay, so we've talked about AI in government, the dangers of deepfakes, the rise of smart farming, the complex geopolitics of tech, and the potential and ethical considerations of skip breaks. What else have we got?
With all these trends happening at once, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But let's not forget that amidst all this change, there are also incredible opportunities. This article from Entrepreneur Magazine outlines several business ideas emerging from these tech trends.
Oh, now you're speaking my language. Tell me more.
The article highlights the potential for startups focused on developing AI-powered solutions for specific industries. For example, we're already seeing companies using AI to personalize education, optimize healthcare, and even create new forms of entertainment.
That's really interesting. It seems like AI is becoming Less of a standalone technology and more of a foundational tool that can be applied to almost any field.
Exactly. And the article suggests that the most successful businesses in the future will be those that can effectively integrate AI into their operations. This could involve anything from automating routine tasks to developing entirely new products and services powered by AI.
So for someone like me, who's always on the lookout for the next big thing, what specific areas should I be paying attention to?
Well, the article highlights several promising sectors. One is personalized medicine. Imagine using AI to analyze your genetic data and tailor treatments specifically to your needs. Another area is sustainable agriculture. We've already talked about smart farming, but there's also potential for AI to help us develop new crops and farming methods that are more resilient to climate change. And then there's the whole realm of AI-powered education. Imagine using AI to create personalized learning experiences that adapt to each student's individual pace and learning style.
Those are some pretty amazing possibilities. It sounds like we're on the cusp of a whole new era of innovation, driven by AI. But I'm also wondering about the ethical implications of all this. How can we ensure that these new technologies are used responsibly and that they benefit everyone, not just a select few?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The article emphasizes the importance of developing ethical frameworks for AI development and deployment. This includes things like ensuring transparency, promoting fairness, and protecting privacy. And it stresses the need for ongoing dialogue and collaboration between technologists, policymakers, and the public to ensure that AI is used for good.
That makes a lot of sense. It seems like we need to approach this new era of AI with both a sense of excitement and a healthy dose of caution. We've covered so much ground today. From the potential of AI in government to the perils of deepfakes, from the rise of smart farming to the complex geopolitics of tech, and from the concept of skip breaks to the entrepreneurial opportunities emerging from these trends, it's a lot to take in. But I think it gives us a pretty good sense of the forces shaping our future.
I agree. It's a dynamic and rapidly evolving landscape, and it can be challenging to keep up with all the changes. But by staying informed and engaging in these conversations, we can empower ourselves to navigate the future with confidence.
Before we wrap things up, I do want to touch on one more article we found, which is all about
The green gold rush, this fascinating concept of a green gold rush happening right now. It's not about actual gold, but this massive influx of investment into clean energy technologies.
I've heard whispers about this. Everyone's looking for the next big boom. And this article seems to suggest that clean energy could be it. What's your take? Is this hype or a genuine shift?
Well, what's interesting is that it's not just hype driving this trend. There's a real convergence of factors here. Increasing concerns about climate change, advancements in renewable energy tech making it more efficient and affordable. Even governments are offering incentives, all fueling this rush.
Oh, it's like a perfect storm brewing. But for someone like me, who's maybe not a Wall Street wizard, what does this green gold rush actually mean? Are there opportunities for regular people to get in on this?
Absolutely. The article highlights a few key areas. For one, the rise of green tech startups is creating new jobs and investment opportunities. Think companies specializing in solar panel installation, energy-efficient building materials, or even software for managing renewable energy grids.
Yeah, it's not just about investing in big companies, but also potentially supporting these smaller, innovative startups that are driving the change.
Yeah, precisely. And there's also the growing market for sustainable products and services. Think electric vehicles, energy-efficient appliances, eco-friendly housing. Consumer demand is playing a big role in pushing this green gold rush forward.
It's encouraging to see that individual choices can have a real impact on this shift towards a greener future. So look, what stood out to you the most? What are you going to keep thinking about after this? What sparked your curiosity? We always love hearing your thoughts. And that brings us to the end of another deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and until next time.